The world was engulfed in chaos during World War II. Cities lay in ruins, streets filled with smoke and debris, and families were torn apart, their lives forever changed. Fear hung in the air like a thick fog, and the world seemed trapped in an endless storm of destruction. Amid this devastation, one machine rose above all others, capturing both awe and terror: the tank. These steel giants didn't just crush walls and obstacles, they crushed hope, reshaped battlefields, and altered the very course of history. Across Europe, Asia, and America, nations poured their ingenuity, resources, and determination into building the most powerful tanks ever seen. They were more than machines. They became legends, symbols of courage, fear, and survival. At the war's beginning, tanks were still evolving. Germany, with its revolutionary Blitzkrieg or lightning war, transformed them into weapons of speed, surprise, and psychological shock. Soldiers watched in disbelief as waves of German tanks tore through defenses. The ground trembled beneath their tracks. The air roared with the thunder of their cannons. The enemy realized, often too late, the terrifying power of a single armored machine. In 1942, Germany unveiled the Tiger I, a tank that would haunt the dreams of Allied soldiers. Its 88-millimeter cannon could obliterate enemy tanks from over 2 kilometers away. Imagine being a soldier hiding behind a crumbling building, heart pounding, hands trembling, as the earth shakes beneath the relentless tracks of this monster. The roar of its engine and the thunder of its gun left men frozen in fear. Every encounter with a Tiger I became a story etched in terror, respect, and awe. But Germany was not finished. They introduced the Tiger II, the legendary King Tiger. Weighing nearly 70 tons with armor up to 180 millimeters thick, it carried a long-barrel 88-millimeter gun capable of destroying almost any enemy tank before it even got close. Soldiers gazed upon it with a mix of dread and fascination, knowing that a single mistake could mean death. Yet its immense weight made it slow, prone to breakdowns, and a stark reminder that even unmatched power carries vulnerability. The Soviet Union responded with the IS-2, a tank built to challenge these German behemoths. Its 122-millimeter cannon and sloped armor made it devastating on the battlefield. Soviet crews endured freezing winters, starvation, and exhaustion. Yet they pressed forward with unyielding determination. The IS-2 was more than a machine. It was hope forged in steel. When it fired, the echo carried a chilling message. No fortress, no tank, no obstacle was safe. Germany also produced the Panther, a marvel of balance. Fast, armored, and equipped with a high-velocity 75-millimeter cannon, it could strike from long distances while maneuvering across treacherous terrain. Soldiers who faced it knew that strategy and courage were as vital as any weapon. Even the most well-engineered machine could be defeated by skill, timing, and determination. The United States joined the armored race with the M-26 Pershing, introduced late in the war. Its 90-millimeter gun and durable armor made it reliable and powerful. For soldiers who had endured years of relentless conflict, riding a Pershing was more than a duty. It was a chance at survival, a glimmer of hope in a world consumed by fear. Yet, the true hero of tank warfare was not the heaviest or the most intimidating. It was the Soviet T-34. Reliable, versatile, and produced in massive numbers over 84,000 units. This medium tank transformed armored combat. Its sloped armor deflected deadly shells. Its 76-millimeter gun could take down most German tanks. Its simplicity allowed rapid deployment across every battlefield. Soldiers trusted it with their lives. It became their shield, their weapon, their companion in the darkest and coldest moments of the war. The battlefield was not just about steel. It was about people. Behind every tank were soldiers risking everything. In the Battle of Kursk, the largest tank battle in history, over 6,000 tanks clashed in a struggle that would decide the fate of nations. Men faced machine guns, artillery, and fire, yet courage propelled them forward. Soldiers described the roar of engines, the explosions, and the smoke-filled horizon as a nightmare made real, a test of human endurance and fear. The Tiger, King Tiger, Panther, IS-2, Pershing, and T-34 all played pivotal roles. They were tested in the deserts of Africa, the frozen steppes of Russia, and the forests of Europe. Each tank carried stories of heroism, desperation, and determination. When a tank fell, soldiers mourned. When a tank triumphed, hope surged. The battlefield became a stage for courage and loss, for human ingenuity tested against the harshest conditions imaginable. Even today, the legacy of these tanks resonates. The Tiger's thunder, the King Tiger's immensity, the Panther's precision, the IS-2's power, the Pershing's reliability, and the T-34's resilience all tell a story of men and machines intertwined in the struggle for survival. These tanks were not just metal and weapons, they were emotion-made steel, carrying fear, hope, courage, and resilience across every battlefield they touched. In the end, the lesson remains clear. In war, raw power alone is never enough. It is courage, strategy, and human determination that define history. Every roar of an engine, every echo of a cannon, every life touched by these machines tells a story of bravery, sacrifice, loss, and the indomitable human spirit. The tanks of World War II remind us that even in humanity's darkest hours, ingenuity, courage, and hope can shine through steel and fire. They are monuments not just to war, but to survival, resilience, and the will to overcome. The roar of a tank on the battlefield was unlike any other sound. It was not just metal grinding against metal or the firing of a massive gun. It was a symbol of life and death, courage and fear. Soldiers who rode inside these tanks often spoke of a strange bond with the machine, a feeling that their survival depended on the steel surrounding them. They felt the vibrations of every movement, the power of every shot, and the weight of responsibility pressing down with every mile crossed on the battlefield. In the deserts of North Africa, tanks became both lifelines and nightmares. The German panzer divisions, with their Tigers and Panthers, tore across sand and rock, their precision and speed unmatched. Allied soldiers, facing overwhelming odds, learned quickly that facing a tiger in the open desert was almost a death sentence. But these moments also revealed heroism. Crews would repair damaged engines under fire, comrades would drag injured soldiers to safety, and every successful strike against a superior tank brought an almost indescribable surge of hope. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, the Soviet Union faced a different kind of battle. Endless winters, muddy fields, and frozen rivers became arenas of sheer endurance. The T-34, with its ingenious sloped armor and versatility, became a beacon for Soviet soldiers. It could traverse icy rivers and deep mud alike. surviving conditions that would cripple heavier German tanks. Soldiers developed an emotional connection to the T-34. It was not just a machine, but a trusted companion in a world dominated by chaos. Perhaps no tank battle in history demonstrates the combination of strategy, courage, and raw power better than the Battle of Kursk. Over 6,000 tanks clashed across hundreds of miles, each crew fighting not just to survive, but to alter the fate of nations. Imagine the fear as massive engines roared, the ground shook beneath thousands of tons of steel, and shells tore through the earth around you. Yet, amid the horror, acts of bravery emerged. Tank commanders would risk their lives to outflank enemy positions. Repair crews would crawl under burning tanks to save vital machinery, and ordinary soldiers discovered courage they never knew they had. The tanks themselves were silent witnesses, their armor bearing the marks of countless battles, yet continuing to fight. The King Tiger, though slow and cumbersome, had a psychological effect unmatched by any other weapon. Its presence on the battlefield could halt entire units in their tracks, forcing commanders to rethink strategies in real time. For soldiers facing it, every second was a test of courage. Could they survive the initial volley? Could they outmaneuver the beast before it fired again? This tension, the mix of fear and respect, defined armored warfare. The IS-2, on the other hand, embodied raw resilience. Facing the King, Tiger, and Panther, Soviet crews endured conditions that would have broken lesser men. They pushed forward, relying on determination and teamwork rather than sheer mechanical superiority. The IS-2's 122mm cannon could shatter any obstacle in its path. But it was the human element that made it formidable. Soldiers coordinated attacks, anticipated enemy maneuvers. Hosen forged a bond with their machine that transcended metal and fire. Across the Western Front, the M-26 Pershing symbolized hope for the Allies. Arriving late in the war, it faced the daunting challenge of countering the most feared German tanks. Its 90mm gun and durable armor gave soldiers confidence, but more importantly, it represented the ingenuity and industrial might of the United States. Soldiers often spoke of the relief they felt when climbing into a Pershing, knowing it could survive hits that would have destroyed older models. It was a beacon of turning tides, and every victory achieved with it carried the weight of years of struggle. Even within these machines, stories of humanity emerged. Tank crews laughed together, argued, and sometimes cried. The cramped interiors, filled with the scent of oil, gunpowder, and sweat, became spaces of camaraderie and endurance. Soldiers formed unspoken bonds with each other and with their tanks. Each engine roar and cannon blast was a heartbeat shared between man and machine. Tanks were not only instruments of war, they were tools of strategy, psychology, and emotion. Their presence altered entire battles, reshaped strategies, and sometimes even saved entire armies from annihilation. The Tiger, King Tiger, Panther, IS-2, Pershing, and T-34 each carried stories of innovation, sacrifice, and resilience. Their power was matched only by the courage of those who operated them and the people who depended on their success. The legacy of these tanks is enduring. Museums preserve their steel, historians study their tactics, and veterans share the stories of what it felt like to ride inside them. The roar of engines, the echo of cannons, the fear and hope of soldiers, and the relentless march of history are all intertwined with these machines. They remind us that even in the darkest moments of humanity, ingenuity, courage, and determination can shine through. Even today, the story of World War II tanks inspires awe. Engineers marvel at their design, historians analyze their impact, and enthusiasts feel the thrill of imagining the battlefield as it once was. The Tiger and King Tiger remain symbols of fear and engineering prowess. The T-34 embodies resilience and adaptability. The IS-2 demonstrates the power of courage paired with technology. The Mi-26 Pershing symbolizes hope, turning tides, and the relentless pursuit of victory. These tanks were more than steel guns and engines. They were vessels of emotion, courage, and the human spirit. They carried the weight of fear and hope across every battlefield they touched. They bore witness to bravery, sacrifice, and the indomitable will to survive. Every roar, every shell fired, every life touched by these machines is a story of humanity at its extremes. In the end, World War II's most powerful tanks were more than weapons. They were legends, forged in steel and fire, carrying with them the stories of soldiers, civilians, and the very fate of nations. They remind us that even in war, courage, resilience, and determination are the greatest powers of all.